And a lot of business owners that I talk to want to be humble too,
Right,
as
yeah.
well. And so they just have a hard time even celebrating because it feels like it's not being humble. But sometimes in order to get the energy to go through the next hard thing, you have to celebrate and recognize the good things that we're doing too.
Yeah, it'll beat you up after a while if you don't take time to kind of celebrate that. And I think it's kind of this area, our culture, our heritage.
Welcome back to Torch Talk, the show where we spotlight bold leaders growing businesses and communities with grit and purpose. Today's guest is Mike Eberly, president of Weaver Commercial Contractors. In this Torch Talk episode, we'll explore his approach to leading a growing commercial construction company and take a deeper dive into what it takes to deliver high-quality projects while building strong client relationships and teams. Welcome to Torch Talk, Mike.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
We're going to have a nice conversation about your experience at Weaver Commercial Contractors and all of the things that you guys do.
Cool.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your career history. Your role now is president.
Correct.
So how did you end up in the president seat?
I grew up on a dairy farm in Orrville, and I never thought I would do anything but farm. I loved it. It's in my blood, still in my blood a bit. But my dad and grandpa sold the dairy cows when I was a junior in high school, I think. And my dad was working for Kingsway Christian School as the kind of board rep for a building project that, ironically, Weaver Commercial Contractor was building. And so I just went with Dad like every day up to the job site and just kind of jumped in. And I jumped in with the framers, and I was just kind of, I wasn't getting paid, but I was there. And
you were doing the work.
I was doing the work. And one day, Ron, who was our previous owner and president, said, "Hey, you want to get paid to do this?" And I was like 16. I said, "Yeah, I want to get paid." So I went and started working for them that summer. Worked part of my way through my senior year in high school. And I loved it. It was good, but I still just was going to farm. So I graduated from high school, went on the wheat harvest out west, and had a great summer. Ended up in a pretty serious combine accident while I was out there, and kind of cut my experience short. And kind of one thing led to another. And when I was able to work again, I started working for Weaver Custom Homes, and was a framer and then an excavator. And like I said, I had farming in my blood. And so after about 5 years of construction, I quit, and I bought my own herd of cows and farmed again for a while.
Okay.
And I learned a ton.
How big of a herd of cows?
Like 50.
Okay.
Yeah, so not very big.
What kind?
Holstein.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're raising, that's for beef, right?
Oh, no, I was milking cows.
Not a farmer.
No,
Okay,
they
so
were
you
milk cows. I was milking
cows
twice a day, every day, by myself.
Manually?
Like with milking machines.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Not like,
So you can
not
tell
by
how
hand.
clueless I am. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yep. No, with machines, but
Okay.
Still a lot of work.
Yeah.
Twice a day, every day. No vacations kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, kind of all through growing up on the dairy farm, and I don't know if this was just out of necessity or because they loved to, but my grandpa and my dad built their own barns. They built their own sheds. Like I remember Grandpa built trusses for a building he was building instead of buying them. And so kind of early on, that was just part of what we did was build. And
Farmers are taught to be resilient. They do the same
Yeah.
thing with mechanics, right?
Right.
You
We
fix
fixed
everything and you build everything.
We fixed our own stuff. I think it's
Yeah.
because we didn't have any money to pay anybody else to do it, so we just
right.
figured it out.
Yes.
But anyway, so I milked cows for a while. Kind of outgrew the barn, outgrew the facilities, and it was kind of either bite off a huge chunk of debt or do something else. And so in 2011, I came back to Weaver Commercial Contractor as a job superintendent and did that for a few jobs, and then I was a project manager and did that for probably 8 years-ish, and then was moved to vice president, and then 4 years ago, I think, president of the company.
In 2011, when you came back, Weaver Commercial Contractors had been officially formed as a separate business from Weaver Custom Homes at that point. What year was Weaver Commercial Contractors officially established?
I believe in 2009, I believe.
Okay.
They were kind of doing business. They had a DBA doing business under Weaver Custom Homes, and just the more that the commercial side evolved and grew, formed their own corporation.
So
believe in
that's really,
2009.
it kind of grew organically out of Weaver Custom
It did.
Homes because they were receiving, I'm assuming, commercial requests.
Yeah. Building houses for people, business people in the community, and they say we need
business too.
Yeah, we needed a building built for our company, our business, our school, our church, and so out of that it was just kind of evolved from there.
And then you worked your way up through multiple different roles within the company to now be in that president
Yeah.
seat. So how has that experience been valuable for you from a leadership perspective?
I think it's super valuable. I think I'm trying to not kind of forget that, but like I was the low guy. I mean, when I started, I was a ditch guy in a ditch, or a framer. I was a driver part of the time for hauling crews around, and so I've started kind of there, and I think it's been helpful for me just to kind of be able to put myself back into
Really relate to every employee, no matter where they're at in
Correct.
the phase of the job, to understand.
Yeah, and understand their stresses, especially kind of relating to our project managers and kind of that next level leadership of projects and kind of I lived it for a lot of years not that long ago, and so I feel like I'm still able to really connect and with them.
Yeah. So tell us what Weaver Commercial Contractors does. Like, what do you specialize in?
So any commercial or light industrial building, we have a pretty strong presence in the church building, religious market. Any given year, half of our work is churches, Christian schools. But then anything from manufacturing, warehousing, fire stations, retail, so we kind of span a pretty wide variety of commercial.
Is any building too small, or will you do any project size, small to big?
Yeah, we'll do pretty much anything, or we'll take a look at pretty much anything.
Okay.
A lot of it does come down to kind of workload, but we do a lot of small projects. A lot of that is past customers, just taking care of our customers,
Keeping the
however we can.
relationship, taking care of them.
Yeah.
Why should somebody hire Weaver Commercial over a different type of builder? Like, what is it like to work with you?
Yeah, I mean, we try to be very transparent and honest and upfront, and almost every conversation either starts or gets around to pricing eventually, because that's what it takes to build a project. Our approach is always to be as upfront and honest about pricing as we can be, and it doesn't always make us popular or look like the good guys, but I would much rather someone know what the project is going to cost rather than kind of lowball them and get the job and get them all excited and then hit them with 20 change orders at the end. We don't feel like that's being good stewards of people's money or just the process. So, we try to be super upfront and honest about those kind of things, as well as realistic schedules. But we really want to be kind of a one-stop shop where you can come to us with a sketch on a napkin, and we can take it from there and develop some 3D drawings to get a concept, and then take it all the way through design and then construction and deliver a project at the end.
What's the average project length on a project that you're working on?
Oh.
They're got to be long.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about what a good average is. I mean, we have a project that's just starting in Gahanna for a church that we've been in pre-construction of the planning and design phase for almost 3 years.
Okay.
And so that's with an architectural firm that they hired. We've been working with them, trying to kind of value engineer and keep budgets where they need to be. And it's just been so that's 3 years in before we put a shovel in the ground, and then we'll be another year to year and a half of construction. So that's quite a long time.
Yeah.
We have customers right now who have came to me last week, and they want to be in a building by the time the snow flies. And so
Is that even possible?
It is. It's tough. And these are warehouse type buildings without a ton of complexity and finishes.
There's not
Right. So I mean, 6-8 months it's aggressive and it's quick, but again, it's what they need for their business. So we're gonna make it happen.
So your year's full for 2026 then?
We'll never say never, but we're very busy, very blessed. Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
In the last few years, or maybe even just last year, are there any standout favorite projects that you guys have worked on?
A unique project that comes to mind is we had a warehouse near Cleveland that I think it had maybe a 16-foot ceiling, maybe an 18-foot ceiling, and they were leasing this out to a warehousing company that wanted like 32-foot ceilings roughly.
Okay.
And so actually we raised the roof without tearing anything down of the building. It was 120,000 square feet. We did it in two sections, so it cut the roof in half and raised like 60,000 square feet up with a company out of Canada actually did the roof lift.
Okay.
Basically, they cut everything off at the ground. They have all these jack systems, hydraulic systems, and then they start raising them. It's all synchronized. Really cool process.
Wow.
So I think it took about a week to raise each section. And then once they got it up and locked it in, they had put all new structural support, new siding to fill the gap in. So that was one of the more unique projects.
So really creative solution to what they needed to
right.
do.
Yeah. So instead of tearing it down and kind of starting over, they were able to keep the structure, keep the roof, and with just a few kind of roof patches or putting back together in one kind of row, they were able to raise that.
So you guys like to be a part of kind of like, you're okay with being a part of the idea or the creation process and helping somebody figure out how to bring their idea to life, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I love. That's kind of my favorite part of my job, quite honestly, is kind of finding those creative solutions to complex problems. I love complicated projects. We do some work for a local poultry plant, and we're like a couple years ago we built over top of where they were bringing the chickens into the plant. Kind of had to work at night and just but figuring all that stuff out to keep them operational, keep them running. Again, I think back to your original question, what separates us, I think we do that really well. Come up with the creative solutions.
Not all construction companies are patient through that process with, like I talk to a lot of construction companies that hate Pinterest. They're please don't come to me with your Pinterest idea, because it's easier to just do the standard thing.
Yeah.
But when you're able to meet somebody where they're at and help them with their idea and maybe even bring a better idea, I think that's where we would always be looking for your insight. Is because somebody might have an idea, but you might have a better way to do it that would function better in the long run. So,
yeah, and I don't like Pinterest either, but
it's
just
not
to be
realistic.
Fair, right, unrealistic, and those fixer-upper shows where they do everything in like 2 weeks, and people think that's possible, but
next to no money.
right.
Okay, so tell us what your team is like. So if somebody comes to you through a project, you have a team. What's the flow through Weaver Commercial Contractors? Who do they work with?
Yeah, so most initial conversations start with either myself or Dave Hershey. Dave Hershey's our religious sales and business development director. And so if it's a church project, typically they would start with him. Any other would kind of start with me. And I typically just like to meet with people and find out what they need, what they want, and then just feel out, do they have their own architect? Do we need to bring an architect? That whole kind of process, and then put a plan together for the pre-construction. And again, we like to be involved from the beginning, even if we're not going to design the project, just to be able to be involved and kind of talk about budget, that sort of thing as we go through the project. A lot of times we can kind of help manage a budget if we're involved from the early stage, even if we're not in charge of the design.
Okay.
And then we work through design, permitting, and going into construction. So we have a team of pre-construction managers. We have then project managers on the construction side, job superintendents, and we have a couple of our own crews. We have an excavating crew and a framing carpenter crew that we self-perform some of our work, and then we sub out a lot of it. So
does a customer stay with you or Dave the whole way through, or are they working then with the project manager once they get to the construction phase?
Typically, even when we really get into the design phase, we typically hand that off to John or Chris, our pre-construction managers, and then as it goes into construction, it works through the project manager then, and then they become kind of our point.
But they're with you for a long time, so by the end they feel like they're family to the whole WCC company.
Yep.
Everybody knows everybody by their name and their children's names and all of the things.
Yeah,
so.
all the good and all the bad.
Yeah. Okay, so how big is Weaver Commercial? How many people do you have on your team?
I believe we have 29 or 30 currently.
Okay. It's always floating a little bit.
working on hiring again.
Okay.
We've had pretty substantial growth this year.
What kind of roles are you looking for?
I need project managers and job superintendents.
Okay.
Kind of the project
do they need to have
side.
Experience?
Ideally, yes.
Okay.
Because
like some construction experience?
Yeah, just construction experience, leadership abilities and construction experience. I'd love to promote from within, and we've kind of worked towards that through that, but our growth has been enough that I've got to
accelerate it a little bit.
And bring some people in that kind of know what they're doing. So
those are great problems to have.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So if anybody is listening and thinks that they might be
give me a call.
fit,
Yes, for
call
sure.
Mike.
Yeah.
We didn't know this was a recruiting podcast interview.
No, but
we're
it's
turning
free,
it.
right? I'll take it. I'll take it.
They can find out more about you on the website
Yeah.
too. So
Yes.
look them up on social. But okay, so we talked about the types of projects that you do and your team and the history a little bit. Talk to us about your leadership experience and as you have stepped into the president role, like how do you lead the team and what's kind of your like leadership theory, I guess?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'm a work in progress. Obviously, this is pretty new to me. But one of my favorite leadership books is Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. Just super practical. As the leader, you got to own everything. My superintendent made a mistake that affected the job. That's still my responsibility to own, and maybe I didn't train him well enough. Whatever the case may be. And so, I've always really tried to kind of live by that motto, and including like owning the successes too. Like I think a lot of times we get so focused on the negatives that we can't enjoy our successes. And so owning the bad and owning the good as well. And so that's kind of been one of my kind of where I would draw a lot of leadership capital from or ideas from.
I read a book last year called The Gap and the Gain. It's
Okay.
Dan Sullivan, I think, is the author. It was really good, but it talks a lot about how, like, as business leaders or entrepreneurs, we look at the gap all the time. Like, what did I not do? But we're not actually looking back and really celebrating our successes. It would be similar. And a lot of business owners that I talk to want to be humble too,
Right,
as well. And so they just have a hard time even celebrating because it feels like it's not being humble. But sometimes in order to get the energy to go through the next hard thing, you have to celebrate and recognize the good things that we're doing too.
Yeah, it'll beat you up after a while if you don't take time to kind of celebrate I think that's it's kind of this area, our culture, our heritage, kind of tells us we need to be humble and absolutely. But
I think just humble is misunderstood sometimes.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean like
doesn't
there's
mean you can't be excited about your successes.
Yes, exactly.
For sure.
And really celebrate that with the team because it's a team effort where you work. It's a team effort where we work. Like if you're not celebrating with your team, then they don't get to be a part of that too and really see that you're recognizing what they're doing.
Yeah,
so.
I sure couldn't do it by myself. I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces to a commercial construction project. So we're only as good as our team for sure.
Yeah.
Another leadership book that I've just read, which is I see you have traction over there. So I recently read Rocket Fuel, and I think the first two chapters of that book probably were more just helped me understand maybe why I'm so frustrated some days with certain things in my job, and just really understanding, like, basically it talks about every company typically has a visionary and an implementer, and when you're not doing the one that you're gifted in, it's frustrating. And
are you the visionary?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
So,
I'll have 20 new ideas every day, and
never get to do anything with them.
Right, or just frustrate everyone because I implement things before I've really thought it through. And so, just really kind of figuring that piece out, and like, and I'll always have to do some of that implementing and coaching and whatnot. But when I'm happiest, I'm like solving big problems, kind of thing. And so it's kind of showed maybe a gap in our company and our structure. Definitely feel like
for
I
you
need
to have some support with.
Yeah, just find that person, probably mainly that can tell me no, like, and they can tell me no, that's a dumb idea. I'll have 5 more.
Yeah,
like, it's fine.
I read that book too, and it says in there you might have 10 ideas and 9 of them are bad.
Yeah.
So you need somebody to tell you the 9 ideas that are bad.
Yes.
Or else you'll be trying to implement all of them and probably too fast, and everybody's just like,
it's
what's going
they call
on?
It like whiplash. A lot of people are.
I feel that a little bit. So I definitely read that as well. I can be, if you take like a test, like I actually score really closely for both, and I just thought that I was like more of an integrator or implementer. And then I read the book, and really in the description, I was like, oh, I am a visionary. So that actually helped a lot with kind of identifying, getting some clarity around like what is my role and being able to embrace that. And it would be great if I had like one day a week where I could just sit and dream. I'm not there right now, but that is the goal, to get to the point where I know not every idea is going to get implemented, but to just even process what is happening now and how can we maybe fix something. Because sometimes it's just creating an invention around a current process or a current product or a current service, and we don't always have time to stop and assess that when you're just really busy.
Yeah, and I'll tinker with things that probably don't need tinkered with sometimes, like maybe like create a problem that maybe isn't there to try to solve it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
I think most entrepreneurs truly, who are like real entrepreneurs, like just naturally tend to be a lot like that. And we hear that all the time. Do you guys utilize EOS at all from a structure standpoint, or have you read Traction?
I have read, yeah.
Okay.
No, not really at this point. Definitely something that I'm going to keep kind of digging into and kind of start filling some roles around that, hopefully. And
we used Traction. Like probably half our clients implement that here. So I wanted to understand it because I want to understand how our clients operate. But I thought the book was very valuable for just even identifying our mission and our vision. Mm-hmm. Like it says in that book to have it be 7 words or less, so it's easy to memorize. Yeah. So really, but how do you simplify what you do when what you do is really complicated? So I think for finding mission, vision, values, that was really helpful for myself personally. So I know that's something you guys are working through right now as well.
Yeah. And I should shout out Shorty from Claysack. He told me to read that book. He said it would, it was great. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, they're implementing that right now, and Clay's kind of in the integrator role. So it works really well for some companies.
Yeah. It sounds like it's working really well for them. Mm-hmm. I don't have a Clay right now, so
that's the problem.
That's the problem. Yep.
Everybody needs a Clay.
Yeah, I think so.
You guys have grown a lot. You've grown a lot personally in your role. What's on the horizon of the future? What do you, since you're a dreamer, what are you kind of like envisioning yourself or Weaver Commercial kind of growing into over the next like 5 to 10 years?
I think we certainly want to grow, but probably not grow just for growth's sake. Trying to do that healthy growth, not explosive growth, and then not be able to kind of manage the growth. And so this year it does look like it feels a little explosive growth, but just continue to that healthy growth over the next 5 years. Really working hard on our team, getting the right people in the right seats on the bus, and hiring enough people that are people we have aren't burnt out or getting burnt out.
Do you have enough space to grow at your office?
No, funny. I was playing around with some drawing stuff earlier this week to try to figure out where I could put a couple more offices and maybe move a conference room around and take up some space that's maybe not utilized the best. So just kind of started working on that this week. But we're going to put a couple people in one office and build a wall and do some things.
Talk about creative solutions for your own.
I've
been through your office, so I know you're kind of full right now. So if you keep growing.
That was, again, not a problem I thought we would have at this point. But
is that not the advice you would give every single business owner? Build bigger than what?
Yeah.
Like, what is the rule? Double?
If you can afford it, yeah.
If you can afford it.
Yeah, we probably didn't take our own advice.
Yeah.
Although when we moved in, we had like whole open section we hadn't even kind of built out, and so we built offices in there, and now build an office in the shop and kind of reclaim some of that space, and now we're gonna have to kind of do the same. Again, these are great problems to have. We need more space, and we're too busy. We need more people. Like, I'm never gonna complain about that. But there are problems nonetheless to kind of solve. So.
Any projects you'd really love to be able to kind of tackle, or new things you'd be able to offer over the next 5 to 10 years?
Project-wise, I think we have a pretty diverse range already, so I don't really have a ton of that. I would like to continue to grow our excavating division. We've got a small kind of crew. I'd love to be able to build that up. We subcontract back and forth to Weaver Custom Homes for some of their excavating, so just tons of opportunities there. It's just, again, getting the right people on board, and guys that want to work hard and get dirty, and that's not everybody anymore. So kind of really stabilizing that and growing that again. It's kind of one area I think we could certainly. And then the Pennsylvania market. So we do projects anywhere in Ohio. We have a couple projects in Pittsburgh currently, one coming up in northern West Virginia. So we've really branched out, and that kind of Pittsburgh market seems to be pretty hot for us. And so, there's always some thoughts about, at what point do we really try to saturate that market and grow our presence over there.
Does that look like a second office, or can you operate everything from here?
No, I think it could eventually be a satellite office over in that market. I have a superintendent that lives over there, so it's been one of the unique things that we've kind of tried, and it's worked pretty well, is instead of having traveling guys all going from here, we've hired a superintendent in Cincinnati, in Southern Ohio, and in Pittsburgh. And so as the projects in those areas, they're kind of in their own backyards, and so the travel, they don't have to travel.
It is a lot easier,
Yeah.
and it's a lot easier to scale that when you know you have people
Right.
who live in the area.
Yeah. And then our project managers are still all based out of Ohio at this point, but they make a trip over once a week or once every 2 weeks to job site meetings, over or down or kind of wherever we're at. So that's worked well. I think we'll continue that model.
Okay.
The tough part of that is then you have to have work in those areas that
Yes.
you guys live in.
And then what comes first? The people, the work,
Yeah,
the,
right.
the marketing,
Yeah.
what do you do first? So
Yeah.
I understand.
Yep.
Okay. Well, just so you know, Julia, who works with you on your marketing
Yes.
stuff, has some dreams for us. So we had a meeting a couple years, it was like a year ago. I don't know. I said, what would we want to see from an office standpoint? And she wants to build a building, and she wants to be 2-story with kind of like Google. So she wants to have like an outdoor rooftop deck and all kinds of crazy things with glass doors on the inside. So she has plans for utilizing
we can
your
take care of her.
services. She needs your creative ideas. It sounds like it's going to cost me a lot of money.
I think it will cost you a little money. Yep.
So
But it sounds cool.
I might need to, make sure that we're managing that well.
Yeah.
But okay, well, tell everybody who's listening where they could go find more information on Weaver Commercial Contractors.
Yeah, our website's the best place to start, weavercc.com. And I've got a lot of good content, project pages, kind of some of the in-progress photos, and then also completed projects, testimonials from a lot of our past clients, which is really rewarding for me to hear people talk about what their experience was like. So that's kind of where you can start. And give me a call. I'd be happy to chat about your project, yours or anyone else's.
Mine or anybody else's. Great. We will send everybody your way.
Sounds great.
Thanks for tuning into Torch Talk. If today's story sparks something for you, share it with a colleague, community leader, or future change maker. Until next time, stay inspired, stay intentional, and keep your fire burning.